Well, what a day of racing and celebration here at the 2025 Vuelta España. Yes, we're still in Italy. It's been 3 days, and no, we won't be in Italy. We're heading towards Spain on stage 5 and tomorrow France. But today it was a celebration at the end of this 3-day trek through Italy by a Frenchman, David Gaudu from Groupama FDJ, who got the better of hot favorite Dane, former world champion Mads Pedersen, in this 2.5 kilometer Cat 2 uphill finish to Ceres, where I am right now, up in the mountains, up in the far northwest of Italy. Mountainous area around here, but today my run on Strava logged, you can see there, flat, recovery of sorts. Today was no recovery, ride, run, whatever you want to call it, for the riders out there in this edition of the 2025 Vuelta España. Remember, it's Groupama who lost Guillaume Martin, one of their riders, yesterday, but they had positive signs from David Gaudu in that finish that was won by Jonas Vingegaard yesterday. That, speaking to Stefan Küng after the finish today and how David Gaudu pulled this victory off, upsetting the Lidl trick work all day, well, he said that confidence that he gained and the team gained from yesterday really helped David put himself into position to get this stage victory here in Ceres today. Yeah, David Gaudu, he hadn't had that big victory, at least in the Vuelta España, since 5 years ago, and he's been lacking that big win since the Dauphiné. I think it was in 2023 he had the victory there. This year, of course, he picked up a stage win in the Tour of Oman, and nearing the end of the summer now, in August, at the end of August, well, the Frenchman, 28 years old, I think, who looks like a bit like Salt Bae when you see him with his casual sunglasses on and his hair pulled back tight. Well, he looks like Salt Bae, throwing down the salt like he's going to cook us up a nice bistecca alla Fiorentina. And today he cooked it up and cooked his rivals. David Gaudu, 28 years old, delivered, and this is going to be important for him. And this is going to be massive going ahead for the rest of the 18 days that we have in this Spanish Grand Tour. How did he do it? Now let's focus on the race, and we'll get to that point. How Gaudu picked up the stage victory today up here on this little summit finish with the church right there beside me. The finish line is just right over that way. Great scenery, and thankfully, despite the clouds, no rain today. 134 kilometers out there. 4 riders thereabouts went free today. In the move was Alessandro Vere. Now, he had the polka dot jersey, white, blue polka dots, mountains classification leader. However, not actually the leader. That classification lead is over on the Dane, 2-time Tour de France winner, Jonas Vingegaard. But since he's in the red leader's jersey and red shorts, Jonas, well, the mountains jersey goes over to Vere, but Vere wanted it veramente, as we say in Italian, truly wanted it. So he was off in the escape, picked up the mountain points today. Crucially, in that escape was American Sean Quinn, former U.S. champion. You can see the stars and stripes on the sleeves of his pink jersey, EF Education Easy Post. That 4-man group was whittled down just to Vere and Quinn, and then Quinn was off on his own solo. Now, as he's off on his own solo, I was uploading content to the FloBikes website, YouTube channel, and you can check out the article and video because, wow, overnight, team was hit hard. Team Visma Lisa bike, team who won yesterday's stage with the race leader, Jonas Vingegaard. 16 bikes were stolen from the team overnight, estimated value of 250,000 euro. That's around almost 300,000 US dollars, bucks, that was taken from the team hotel. The team had been staying in the same hotel in Novotel in Torino in these stages up in Italy. Thieves used a hard method to get into the truck, got the bikes out, and are at large. So don't be buying any replica or true Cervelo Visma bikes off the internet. You might be involved in some thievery ring. Don't do that as the teams try to get their bikes. Jonas's number 1 bike wasn't stolen. Thankfully, he was still on that bike, but the riders had to scramble. Matteo Jorgensen, for instance, was on his 3rd bike, so they had stole bike number 1, bike number 2. All the riders have around 3 or 4 road bikes, and then they have the time trial bike. So a lot of money and a lot of equipment's at stake in these riders when they lodge at hotels. And Visma was one of those teams hit. I mean, earlier this year, I think it was this year, Jayco was hit at San Remo. So it happens, unfortunately, often at bike races. Back to today's bike race with Sean Quinn up the road solo, going for a victory. Consider he's only raced 2 weeks in this 2025 season, had some knee problems, in and out of races, and today showing that the training numbers he'd been seeing translate out there on the road? I spoke with him this morning. He didn't quite know how it would translate. Well, he got some of those answers today. Unfortunately, with Lidl Trek out on the hunt for Mads Pedersen to try to get that stage win. He's a rider who works well on these uphill finishes like this, former world champion, just all around tough guy. And we saw that dominance in the 2025 Giro d'Italia. Well, today, the Dane won a piece of his own with the other Danish rider, Jonas Vingegaard, in the red jersey. Now, Lidl Trek was doing their damnedest to try to pull it off. They'd pulled back Quinn. Now, we want to focus on some incidences out there on the road because Quinn's teammate, Esteban Chavez, Colombian, was just furiated. It looked like he had a rear wheel puncture, was tired of waiting for Shimano service. They finally got him serviced. Then moments later, we saw another EF Education rider with an Astana rider involved in a crash. That looked nasty. And earlier on in the day, well, you would have seen that intermediate sprint where Jonas Vingegaard signaled his intentions to keep the red jersey because up the road, it was still Quinn along with Ceres. Back behind, it was Mads Pedersen picking up the points for third, but it was Jonas Vingegaard taking the points away from Giulio Ciccone and the bonus seconds to make sure Ciccone is not moving up on his red jersey. Whether or not he wants to give away that red jersey to a non-threatening rider in the days to come, well, we'll see. Right now, let's focus on these final kilometers. In here in the 2.5 kilometers to go is Bajoli leading out Ciccone, who would do the work for Mads Pedersen. A couple of Italians working for the Dane. That's probably a sandwich somewhere, I don't know, but here they're working for their Danish champion, leading it up to the finish line. Power move, and Matteo Jorgensen, the American, was positioning Jonas Vingegaard. You would have seen him all in red. Crucial final hairpins, 2.5 kilometers to go to get up here, and in that final hairpin, hard turn right. David Gaudu had been positioned well, got up there, dive bomb down there, got the cut under Vingegaard, got the cut into Mads Pedersen, because coming out of that corner, he was side by side, if not a little bit ahead, and he held it all the way to the line. Celebration, a little bit of disbelief for the Frenchman coming across the line, hands up in the air, and oh mamma mia, in Italia, victory for the Frenchman, and moved himself up, tied overall in the same time on the classification, along with Jonas Vingegaard, thanks to the classification, bony points at the line, 10, 6, and 4. And Jonas now has David Gaudu breathing down his neck for the red leader's jersey. But today is not about Jonas Vingegaard, although the team's scrambling to get all their bikes together, mechanics are working overtime. It's about David Gaudu, the Frenchman, a comeback of sorts, a big win for Groupama FDJ, and a sign of things to come for David Gaudu in the 2025 Vuelta España.